here, Spaceman Matt. This is part two of a two-part video covering Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor from classic Doctor Who. These are episodes available to stream on Tubi. I keep calling it Tubi TV, but it's Tubi. And they're streaming for free in America. I don't know about other parts of the world. But this is probably the only place you can legally watch them for free. You have to watch ads, of course, but otherwise, and I think all of Tom Baker is here. All of Tom Baker's episodes are here. We're going to do the last 3 seasons. I did the first 4 seasons, which were the ones that were imported from Time Life. Sometime, I think, in 82, 83, BBC took over distribution of Doctor Who. And I remember seeing, I think, the later episodes for the first time, I think, in early 1983. And we realized that it had been on Channel 9 in the New York market, then it was on the New Jersey, and later the Connecticut PBS stations, and also there was one PBS station on Long Island that showed it. Channel 13 in New York never picked it up. They were it was too lowbrow for Channel 13, which has a Masterpiece Theater and Live from the Met and things like that. So they never planned to air Doctor Who. Ribose operation. So season 16 starts with the Ribose operation, and this is the first season they offered with a continuing story arc revolving around the key to time, which is really like a MacGuffin. Just to tell these different stories that connects this whole season with one big story arc. It really only plays in this Ribose operation and the last episode of the series, Armageddon Factor, where the key to time is prominent. The other episodes, they're just looking for pieces of the key to time to assemble them at the request of the White Guardian. I'll put up a picture of the White Guardian there, or who we think is the White Guardian. And he pairs up the Doctor with another Time Lord or Time Lady, Romana, which you think her picture is in the last at part 4 there. There she is there, lovely Mary Tam, who is known as the first Romana. Later Romana's played by Lalla Ward for the next season. Mary Tam only lasted 1 season as Romana. She was one of my favorite companions in terms of just that she was someone who challenged the Doctor. She was more of his equal, because she was also a Time Lord or a Time Lady, and she kind of she toned it down. She toned it down a bit for as the show progresses, but she was kind of especially this episode, she was challenging him all the time. And I remember in the following episode, she has some funny lines, and sort of she says she's being interrogated by the villain, and she's saying, well, you should really talk to the Doctor or listen to him if you have the stamina. So I thought that was a very cute line, showing that she really didn't have the same level of reverence for the Doctor, because she's more of his equal. Ribose Operation, the story is kind of forgettable. It just really introduces Romana, and I think that's the best part of the dialogue between Romana and the Doctor. He threatens to she introduces herself as Romana Vortralundar, and he says he's going to have to abbreviate that to Romana, or if she doesn't like Romana, he'll call her Fred. So yes. So You Want to Be a Wizard by Diane Duane. They kind of use the same joke where this magical entity, and they has a unpronounceable name, and they decide to call him Fred. So I think they lifted it from this episode. Um, the next episode is the Pirate Planet, which is one of my favorite episodes. Again, this one is probably uh, definitely within my top five. I would think Pirate Planet. This is written by Douglas Adams. It takes a lot from Mutiny on the Bounty, I guess, which was also I think a Lost in Space did an episode that had a similar type of character, which is more like the captain here, just called the captain, is more like that captain from the Lost in Space episode, which is a parody of Mutiny and the Bounty. But I think they're both doing Captain Bligh. They're doing their own version. I think a little more bellicose than the actual movie version, Captain Bligh, which I guess made the character famous. But and he has, I think, and also the Lost in Space episode, the parody of Captain Bligh also had a mechanical parrot. So and as does this the pirate captain here in the Pirate Planet has Polyphase Avatron. There's a cute battle between Polyphase Avatron and K9. Have a little bit of a battle, and this was again, yeah. So it's a pirate captain that has pirates an entire planet, and it materializes around other planets and sucks up all the resources. And some of the planets have sentient beings living on it, and that they of course kill all the sentient beings. And there's this race of beings called Mentiads that it hurts them because they have psychic powers. They feel all the people on the planet dying, so they want to have a mutiny against the captain and and his dematerializing planet. And the next episode, okay, and then Stones of Blood follows, which is another great episode. Again, one of my, I think this is probably a top three. It's either two or three for me. This episode has, and there's a lovely Mary Tam again. She's featured in a lot of these stills. Um, but it also features a villain named Cesar of Diplos, who's disguised as Vivian Faye, who's supposed to be just like a local small English. Uh, it's in a local small English village. She's just supposed to be a regular citizen of the village, but she's actually a space alien, and and she lives near a stone circle similar to Stonehenge. But these stones in this stone circle come to life. They're aliens, and and I think one of the, if I remember, she has a device on her neck, Vivian Faye, that this changes her appearance, and that's the segment of the key to time that they have to collect. So it's an interest. She has a spaceship that's been in hyperspace, so it's like it's hovering above the Earth, but it's in hyperspace, and there's a whole thing with that, and the aliens called them Megara, who are like judges, who are really there to. Uh, this was a prison ship that was supposed to transport Cesar of Diplos for, I guess, execution, but she had tricked them and wound up staying on Earth for centuries with these other aliens called Ogre, which look like giant rocks that form the stone circle. Um, so this one again, it's a lot going on in this episode. It's very interesting, very clever, very creative, and I think this the best example of Doctor Who. I think one of the better examples. Another one to show your friends if they haven't seen any classic Doctor Who before. If you're a Doctor Who fan and you want to show your friends classic Doctor Who, I do suggest this one is another good one to show them. That's followed by a lackluster episode, Androids of Terra, which is supposedly, I think, a retelling of Prisoner of Zenda, and it's about android duplicates, and it's kind of like a feudal society uh, that has androids, and like Mary Tam's outfit in this one, it's cute. Other than that, and again, Tom Baker's performance and the dialogue and stuff. A lot of that is great, but the rest of the episode is so so. Android's terrorist found by another power of crawl up, but it features a giant, like squid-like creature that lives in a swamp, and it's about natives conflicting with I guess human settlers or humans who want to exploit the resources of the planet, and they conflict with the natives who live there. They're called I guess swampies, and this is there's a swampy there, and this is not my favorite episode, but again some great lines from Tom Baker. There's a funny scene where the Swampies have them trapped, and they're on these vines, and the vines are drying, and that's gonna, I guess, as they pull them apart, it'll kill them, I guess, at some point. But then it's raining, so the doctor has to sing an operatic high note that breaks the glass. It's all really it's kind of silly, but I thought it was a funny scene. Um, and then the rain comes into and it slackens the vines, and they can escape. So I thought that was kind of funny. It was probably the funniest escape scene from Doctor Who, anyway. And it also features David Leeson. You see David Leeson, who's the voice of K9, as a role in here. I guess because K9 doesn't appear in the episode, so they have him as an extra, as one of the base operators. Not as a swampy, but one of the base operating guys in the background is played by David Leeson, who is the voice of K9. Then the final episode in this season is Armageddon Factor. Oops, I turned it on by mistake. Is Armageddon Factor. This one was okay. It's a six-parter. It's kind of padded. It has some neat elements to it. There's that's Drax, who is another Time Lord, and that's where we get the name. So he calls the Doctor Theta for Theta Sigma as his nickname from school. So that sometimes you'll see the Doctor's real name listed as Theta Sigma, but it's just his like school name, I guess, or school nickname. And Drax is kind of an interesting character who's like trapped there by mistake on this planet where the final key to time is. And it turns out that the key to time is actually, there is Lala Ward, who eventually goes on to play the second Romana. She plays Princess Astra, I think, or something like that. And she is actually, the key to time is her. That they have to convert her into one of the segments to complete the key to time, or they wanted, but then they realized that the it wasn't really the white. This is a big spoiler. Sorry, it wasn't really the white guardian that sent them on this mission. It was the black guardian, disguised as the white guardian, and so it's really he wanted to get a hold of the key of time. So the Doctor disassembles it, and it goes back. So they didn't really need it. After all, as the white guardian said, they needed to stop the universe for a few seconds to readjust the balance of good and evil. But they didn't really need the Black Guardian wanted it all along. And yes, operatives there. See, the funny thing that I think that if you ever saw the movie Fifth Element, there's a this part of the Fifth Element is like they have to take it out of the singer, which I think they got that idea from this episode, from the Fifth Element. And that's the end of this season. I'm going to say goodbye to the beautiful Mary Tam. She's again one of my favorite companions, not only for her looks, but again she was more of an equal to the Doctor and more of a challenge. I think the second Romana, played by Lala Ward, tones it down a bit. And this brings us to season 17, which starts with Destiny of the Daleks. A lot of fans again don't like this episode. This sees the return of Davros, and some funky aliens. I'll put them up there called the Movellans, which are androids. And it's funny they have like the Lost in Space robot. They have a power pack on the side of them, and you can disable them by removing the power pack. I thought that was funny. It's another like Lost. Douglas Adams must have been a Lost in Space fan because he was the script editor and wrote some of these episodes. He didn't write this episode, I don't think, but he wrote the Pirate Planet, and I think Terry Nation might have done this, but anyway, the Movellans were easily disabled by removing their power packs, which is kind of silly, and they're in a war with the Daleks, and they can't defeat each other because they're both they both follow logic, and the Daleks want to get Davros to help them get a tactical advantage over the Movellans. I think that maybe the Movellans maybe want maybe the Doctor to help them out because it's a common enemy. Um, and a lot of fans again don't like this episode. I think it was pretty good. I think stylistically, I like the Movellans look, and I think it was a fun concept. There was an episode of Star Trek Voyager featuring two robot races that the robots reminded me of the robots from Robots of Death, but the plot is basically taken from Destiny of the Daleks for that episode, and I'll try to look up that. Okay, so that episode was called Prototype. Again, the robots there reminded me. It was a Star Trek Voyager episode where the robots remind me of the robots from Robots of Death, stylistically, but then the plot was actually lifted from Destiny of the Daleks for that episode Prototype from Star Trek Voyager. So, yeah, so watch that Robots of Death, watch Destiny of the Daleks, and then watch Prototype from Star Trek Voyager, and tell me if that story wasn't lifted from this story. Then Destiny of the Daleks is followed by City of Death, which is probably my number one all time favorite Doctor Who episode. Written, I think, partially by Douglas Adams. There might have been a couple of other people involved. I think it has like a pen name for the script. It might have been a script submitted by another writer. I forgot the name, and then Douglas Adams had to rewrite it a lot, so it became they used the pen name instead because it was very different than the script that was submitted. If I recall correctly, I might be making this up. I don't know. So a good shot to Tom Baker there. This involves there's Count Scaglione, who's actually Scaroth, uh, an alien that gets splintered. His spaceship blows up, and is being splintered across time. I guess because of the ship's drive is the ship blows up basically and splinters him across time, and he's able to communicate with himself across time. And there's other different selves. There are different periods. One's in Renaissance Italy, one's in 1979 Paris, and he wants to go back and stop his ship from exploding, but the ship exploding causes life on Earth to exist, and I think this plot was also lifted for Star Trek The Next Generation's finale with Q, and I forgot the name of that episode. Let me look up that one. Hold on a second. Sorry, so I should have been better prepared for that. So it's All Good Things was the episode that I think lifts some of the plot elements from City of Death. If you ever watch City of Death and watch All Good Things, and then see if they're not similar. And then we have Creature from the Pit, which a lot of people hate on. I'm going to put up I'll take a still from the scene with, this is Tom Baker, gets trapped with this giant blobby alien thing, which is kind of an awkward, cringy scene there, even for Doctor Who. So this is there's this. I'll tell you the name, I forget the name of the planet on this one. So there's this jungle world, and they have a lot of plants, and there's this, yeah, this big blobby alien. They require a lot of chlorophyll, and they eat a lot of plant matter. So they want to trade plants for metal, and metal is a scarcity on this planet, and they're very excited to see K9 because he's all metal. But it's it gets maligned. I think it's funny. It has some good lines in it too with Tom Baker. My favorite line was stands to reason, stands to reason. Why does everything have to stand to reason when it's so much easier to reason lying down? I thought that was cute. And so there's that. There is the cringy scene with the alien has like a long protrude. It's very bad alien design, and it's just like a big blobby thing with a long protuberance, and it looks like he's he's grabbing it, and it looks like he's giving him yeah, servicing him, doing a little fellatio on him, basically. So I'll put up a still of that to see what I'm talking about. You probably don't want to see what I'm talking about. Other than that, I think I think it's a cute episode. Again, I think fans don't like it, but I think it's a good episode. I disagree with fans on this one. Nightmare of Eden is it's a drug smuggling episode involving aliens. Of course, it's a big like monster like alien that is their bodies are used to make drugs, and this ship carrying them it collides with another like a starliner, and there's the you know problems ensue from the monsters. So it was an interesting topic to cover drug smuggling, but for Doctor Who, I guess something different. So otherwise, I think it was pretty mediocre episode, and it's skippable. And then the Horms and Nyman gets a lot of hate too, which I kind of agree with that one. Horms and Nyman was kind of poorly produced, and the Nyman was supposed to look like the Minotaur, and they have a changing labyrinth base or whatever, and there's this another ham. I see they have a picture of Soldeed. There's Soldeed there, and this actor gives a very hammy performance as Soldeed, which is like an assistant to the Nymans, whose planet that Nymans invade his planet basically, and he of course teams up with them to, I guess, thinking that he would, you know, put him in charge and he'll be in power. But of course, the Nyman want to just take advantage of the planet and put them in a black hole or something. So it's not a very good episode. So I guess this actor's, I don't remember his name, but his performance is very good, very over the top. I feel like over the top hammy performances is good. And then finally they have Shada, which is the incomplete episode. And this is I've seen so many versions of Shada, where I saw I got a bootleg version of it once. There was a version made with Paul McGann instead of Tom Baker that was all animated made on the web. I think back in 2003. And then there was a version that I got with Tom Baker does the narration in between. And this is the version where they animated the parts, and they actually had Tom Baker and Lala Ward came in and recorded their lines for their characters, so they were able to complete the episode. This is the best version completed. I based on the synopsis that I read, I said, "Oh, this is a shame that they lost this episode." It's good. It's not great, but it is entertaining if you're a fan of Doctor Who. It does involve the time. If you like episodes about the Time Lords, I always like to have stories about the time, different building up on the Time Lord mythology and Time Lord history and all that stuff. I always like that. Kind of makes them more real in a way. Yeah. So this, if, in terms of that, the episode was good. And and it was great to finally have it animated. K9 does a lot in this, and it's interesting. Another thing, interesting thing is like the ship because they use this transporters like Star Trek. They could so she the ship. There's a sentient ship with the ship's computer basically. It traps them in a room with no doors because if you could transport somebody into a room with no doors, then how can they escape, right? So I thought that was that never occurred to me before because in Star Trek they always had them put them in cells where you could see the person and there'd be like a little force shield and they could maybe sometimes the shield would go down or the creature was able to break through the shield or whatever and then they would get out. But if they had transported them into a room, uh, they wouldn't be able to get out of it. That had no doors or you know. So I thought that was clever from that episode. And then we have season 18. Okay, this is the final season for Tom Baker, and this is where I think John Nathan Turner starts taking over as producer. I think this is I think he might have also. I think Tom Baker, if you see some of the outtakes, especially from like City of Death, and some, you could see Tom Baker was quite seems like a difficult person to work with at this point. I think the sales of the show overseas had gone very well, I think he realized that his performance kind of kept the show alive, in spite of the fact that visually, the show was dated. When Star Wars came out, people expected special effects to be a lot better. But even before Star Wars, in '75, Space 1999 came out, and that was like movie quality special effects for its time. And it was a TV show on ITV, and it was syndicated eventually. It was an awful premise, Space 1999, but the visuals, the production quality was amazing. Whereas Doctor Who, the BBC's problem was they would only increase the budget for inflation, and they would not go beyond that. So that's why Doctor Who always looked like the original Doctor Who. The production always looked poor. Um, Leisure Hive is a skippable episode overall. Not my favorite. As the recreation, some bad special effects with the recreation. Speaking of bad special effects, there's a recreation chamber where the looks like the Doctor's being pulled apart, and it's just very poorly done with like a green screen not CGI but a good green screen effect. This is well before CGI was a thing. That's followed by Meglos, which is again this episode gets a lot of hate. I think it's a fun episode. Meglos is like this cactus-like alien that takes over. So it's like an actual cactus, and then it takes over the body of a human host that they pick up somehow. These are the bad guys that pick up the human host. They bring it to the cactus and it frees him so he can walk around. And then he takes up the form of the Doctor later on. This is the actress. This is the actress that played Barbara Wright from the original first couple of seasons of Doctor Who with William Hartnell. So she was the companion Barbara, and here she's like queen of this planet. There, she's the high priestess of the planet, and they worship this dodecahedron like it's a god or an object sent from God, but it's really just a scientific artifact that powers the planet. And Meglos wants to steal it for his own nefarious purposes. And there's some of the technicians that work on the dodecahedron. So ultimately, the Doctor saves the day. It was nice to see Jacqueline Hill and returning to Doctor Who. Other than that, and I know a lot. Again, I think it's a fun, entertaining episode, very diverting. A lot of fans don't like it for some reason. I don't know. It is a little on the silly side, especially with the Maglos is this cactus thingy. So, Full Circle introduces Adric, everybody's favorite companion. I'll put up a picture. It's not featured in these thumbnails. It's a interesting concept, but it's very it's an interesting concept for the story. I won't tell you too much about the story, but the execution is not. It's kind of boring. So it is skippable. But if you want to see where Adric's origins are from, you can see that, and you can see why his body regenerates faster than regular human beings, and you find out why in this episode. State of Decay is the one that features vampires. I think it's kind of darker than normal Doctor Who episode. I never really care. I think fans do like this one. I don't care. It is kind of interesting at the end with the great vampire. At the end, it's not the great vampire there, but it's actually like this big creature. You only see his hand come out of the. They did that. What was that from? I forget what movie that was. Did something similar to that too, which I think it was that Cabin in the Woods. Maybe I don't remember, but it's this big hand reaching out of the out of the planet. So that the Time Lords had to run in with them, and the vampires from Earth also come from legends from these creatures. So it's a little scary at parts. I think a little dark in tone for Doctor Who. Um, my friend, I watched it with a friend once, and he pointed out like there was a guy lying on the floor, and he had to kind of get out. He was supposed to be dead, and he had to get out of the way of K9. so some funny unintentionally funny scenes there. Warriors Gate is is an interesting episode, but kind of confusing plot wise. It involves time travel and these beings called Tharals who are lion like. There's a Tharal there. He's got like a lion's mane and a beard, and it looks kind of lion-esque, I guess is the word. And they can travel through time themselves. And this episode takes place in E-space, which is exospace outside the normal universe. There's a couple episodes that I think they go into E-space temporarily, and then they come back out for, I think, at the end of this episode, leaving Romana behind in E-space with the Tharals. She kind of makes a comeback in the Big Finish audios. She's like the president of Gallifrey, and I guess in the New Adventure novels, I think she becomes the president of Gallifrey eventually. But that's I don't know if that's canonical or not. I'd like to see, if there's one companion I'd like to see come back, is Lala Ward as Romana, before it's too late, at least have her regenerate into Romana 3. There is a Romana 3 in the Big Finish audios, played by Juliet Landau, who was the villain Drusilla in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I like Juliet Landau. I think she does a good Cockney accent. I mean, she does a British American actress. She's the daughter of Martin Landau and Barbara Bain. I enjoyed her as Drusilla. I don't know what else she's been in. She doesn't do genre stuff. I'm not going to know who she is otherwise. But she was very good. She became Romana 3, and I would like to see them bring Lala Ward back in that character, if they have to have her regenerate into a new, because Lala Ward is getting on a bit. But I'd love to see her back anyway. But if she didn't want to play the character anymore, it would be great if she could come back to New Who and have her regenerate into Romana 3, and then maybe they could. I would like to see a spin-off series with Romana, either again Lala Ward back, or Romana, or a third Romana goes on adventures and then meets up with the past Doctors, and what you do with CGI and deepfake and all that stuff like that, you can bring back all the past, even the ones that aren't alive, you can bring them back and make them look like they did when they were when the show was on, when their shows were on the air, and Now they have the Disney budget behind them. I think that's something that would be neat to do. And I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I think that would be fun. Okay, so Warriors Gate is a skippable episode, followed by Keeper of Traken, which is, I guess, spoilers because it features the return of the Master. This is the Keeper of Traken. He's dying. They're gonna get ready for a new keeper. I'll put up a picture of the Melkur is an alien trapped there. They have this thing called the Source, which keeps the evil at bay, among other things, keeps the planet alive and evil at bay. And so the Melkur is supposedly trapped because of the Source, but it's really the Master's TARDIS. And so he tricks this woman Cassia into helping him out. Her husband Tremus is also part of the council that he could be the next keeper, but the Master gets involved and ruins their plans and basically leaves Nyssa as an orphan. So Nyssa becomes a companion to the Doctor, and I enjoyed Keeper of Traken. And I guess the most exciting thing is the return of the Master. So, and played by Anthony Ainley. I think he does a good job with it. He's Tremus, and then he's also the Master. Okay, a lot of spoilers there for you. So, Logopolis is Tom Baker's last episode. It features Logopolis. So it appears that the universe is being held together through these charged vacuum emboidments or something like that. The universe has actually reached this heat death, and it's going to collapse in on itself. But they use these charged vacuum emboidments to keep the universe alive. That's how the Doctor wound up in E-space previously, because of these. I hope I'm saying the thing right, but it's like these space phenomena that keep the universe expanding, so it won't collapse in on itself. So the Master wants to hold the universe hostage, using these he wants to take over the whole universe by controlling the charge, by using the Logopolis equations to control the charge vacuum emboidments or something. I forget what they're called, but he had some nonsense name like that. So he wants to control those so he can control the universe, and that's where that I think John Sims Master used the lines from the Master's speech when he uses the radio telescope to broadcast to the whole universe that he wants to take over the universe. And he says, "Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully, for this message is important to the future of you all," something like that. And that's John Sims said something similar in his Doctor Who episode as the Master in the New Who. The Doctor has to go to the radio telescope to stop the Master, and then he, of course, falls. He stops the Master. He succeeds in stopping the Master, but then the Doctor falls to his death from the radio telescope, and he regenerates into Peter Davidson. And that ends the Tom Baker era. Again, it was quite, and then it was surprising that they chose Peter Davidson to replace him with a younger actor. But I think that was, again, John Nathan Turner's move, was that now the show had become popular in the States, and America's all about youth culture, so they wanted and looks, so they figured they want to get a better looking actor who was younger to I guess make it, to continue the popularity in America, so they could keep selling it to Americans, which I think it worked for, particularly, I don't know how it did I don't know, I think Americans' reaction was like, well, we miss Tom Baker. But in Britain, I think the ratings did improve a bit from Tom Baker's kind of started. It had solid ratings, I think, throughout his run, but at the end, the last couple of seasons, I think it dropped a little bit. So I think things picked up a little bit with when Peter Davidson took over. But I don't think that lasted either, to be honest with you. I won't go over the Peter Davidson episodes next. and wind up. So that those will be a lot. So the next three doctors, Peter Davidson, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, I think those will go a lot faster. Um, all right, thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time. Please, again, if you could, like this video, subscribe to my channel. It would be a big help. All right.
Subscribe to
Thanks so much.
Spaceman Matt's Sci-Fi vlog today. The fate of the world depends on it, I guess.